Hello everybody. I'm just going to move the camera up and down so you can see this painting that I'm working on. So this is the latest painting that I'm currently working on. It's a bit of a personal piece, and it's a little bit of an experimental piece too. Like I really got the palette knife in here. It's not finished, as you can tell. Definitely not finished. It's very rough around the edges. But I thought I'd go ahead and just film this one for you so you could see what I've been up to lately. It's been a busy few weeks. I'm still working on the mural at the Polish Club. Still working a lot on that one. And I've also been trying to make another drawing course for classical architecture drawing, which hopefully should be finished fairly soon. But to be honest, I have no idea when that's going to get done because there's still quite a lot of work to do. And then in the meantime, I'm really just trying to do a lot of these kind of personal projects that you're seeing right here. So what you're looking at here is basically what's called the dead coloring stage. And the dead coloring is essentially what it means is it's just your basic colors. They're not vibrant. They're very earthy tones. They're very kind of ugly almost looking. And I actually painted this with a palette knife. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to do something a little more experimental. I kind of wanted to get more texture in the painting. Just to see what it would look like, because I was doing these color studies. I'll show you. Hold up, here we go. So if you have a look here, there's a bit of glare on that. Here we go. So this is basically the color study, and it's on a very small bit of canvas, as you can see. And I just went in with a palette knife. And there's a reason I go in with a palette knife for color studies. It's because typically your colors come out a lot cleaner. Whenever you're using brushes, they tend to kind of mix in with the previous paint that you've already applied to the canvas. That's why it's a good idea to use multiple brushes so you can keep them clean. So you'd have a brush for your shadows, you'd have a brush for your midtones, and then you'd have another separate brush for your lights and your highlights. That's typically what I do. But with a palette knife, you don't need to have a bunch of brushes for that. You can literally just give it a good wipe, clean it off, mix your next color, paint it straight onto the canvas. So this painting that I'm doing, let's have a look. It's this one here, which you will have recognized from a previous YouTube video that I posted probably about a month ago now. This was part of the Draw With Me series. And I just really liked the image. I just kind of liked this image of a line of Roman soldiers standing in formation somewhere in like a foresty kind of environment. And then I thought, yeah, you know what? I should really get that onto canvas and really just, just kind of throw some color on that. And this is kind of the color palette that I decided on. So I kind of wanted like a lot of grays and a lot of blues in the background, some very cool colors. And then everything in light would have like a warm tonal shift. So like these red shields, for example, would be like sort of hitting the light, hitting the sunlight. Maybe it's like an early morning kind of scene, like a dawn scene, or maybe it's sunset. But as you can tell, the light is meant to be very low. Now this shield looks very different from the others, and that's because I've gone over it with a brush today. So I'm basically starting on what's called the first painting stage. So the dead coloring stage is basically your very basic, very muddy colors. Nothing's refined. You're just getting it on the canvas. And typically, you try to do that in one go, but it depends on how big the painting is. But the first painting stage is a lot more refined. So I think I spent probably about 45 minutes, maybe an hour painting that shield, just trying to get all the texture work in there. And I'm going to do a few more shields, maybe this one here and that one there next to it. So when you're doing the first painting stage, you're actually just kind of painting it in parts now. You can just sort of focus on anything you want to refine. You can just do it all in pieces. You're not going to just do it all in one go, because you don't really, like, you're not going to be able to. It takes far too much time to refine a lot of these things. So that shield right there is the first painting stage. The rest of them are in the dead coloring stage. But you can imagine what the rest of those shields are going to look like when they look a bit more like this one. I'm still trying to maintain a lot of that texture. I don't really want refined brush strokes because I'm really liking this texture that the palette knife created. So I'm really doing my best to just kind of preserve as much of that as I can. So I think today I'll do some shields. I would like to work on it tomorrow, but I've got to go to the Polish Club tomorrow and get a move on with that mural. But maybe the day after I could sneak in an hour or two on this piece. And then, yeah, and that's it. So you know, I'm just focusing on the shields today because I've already mixed the colors on my palette. So that just makes things more manageable. Rather than mixing every single color for this painting, I'm really just focusing on the colors that I want in this session. And then I'll do the same for the armor. I'll do the same for the leather. I'll do the same for, you know, like the tunics that they're wearing here. And then, you know, the helmets, and then obviously the flesh colors as well, because they're going to need to be refined. You can see his face is not looking fantastic. We've got an impression of a face, but I don't even know if you can call it that. But you know, eventually, once I get to him, I'll start painting in the flesh tones. Now, here's another tip for you. Leave your flesh tones until last. Paint everything else. Paint the environment first, you know, like all the background colors, you know, those flags in the background, things like that. Paint those first, then paint the shields, paint the clothes, paint the armor. Paint everything first except for the flesh tones. And the reason for that is because human flesh is very, it's got a very translucent quality to it, and it has a habit of reflecting the surrounding environment. It kind of takes on the color of the environment. There's really no such thing as a flesh tone. You can see I've mapped in some very basic skin colors, but they're certainly not refined. They definitely need a lot more work done to them. But I will save those till last. And then once I've done everything in the first painting stage, then I move on to the second painting stage, which would be an extra layer of refinement. And you can choose to paint over everything again if you want to in the second painting stage, or you can choose to just select the parts of the painting that you want to refine and then just kind of leave everything in the background, which is, I think, is probably what I'm going to do, because I think I kind of just like the idea of these guys just fading out into the background. Maybe make their faces a little blurrier, maybe make all of this just like a mass of color and texture and just let that fade into the background. And then I'll keep these figures in the foreground a lot more refined. So that would give more context to these guys in the background. So that's what I've been up to. It's been a while since I posted a video on YouTube, but I thought maybe I'll give you a bit of insight into how to work on paintings in separate stages and things like that, because I thought that would make for a very interesting video. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully I can get back to doing a demo soon. But at the moment, life's just been a little bit hectic. So, and it takes a fair bit of preparation to do a demo. You know, I've got to get my camera set up. I've got to get my tools set up in a way that makes sense. And sometimes it's just easier for me to work on something without worrying about filming it, if that makes sense. But I definitely want to get back into more content creation soon. But anyway, this was just a little bit of a update. So yeah, hopefully I can pull this off. Like I said, this is a very experimental painting. I'm not expecting a masterpiece. It might actually turn out horrible, but I'm liking it so far. So we'll see where it goes.